at different points in time. And I always have to find myself studying really hard to catch up and pushing myself again to not be the embarrassment in class for getting a low score, that sort of thing. So that's for me. And reflecting back on those moments makes me think that I would prefer my parents to be a bit more demanding. That's one thing, and to be a bit more involved, so that I don't get into trouble in school. Yeah, this is my reflection and my personal experience with parents that gives too much freedom, too permissive, and not demanding at all.
Sounds tough.
In hindsight, it sounds tough because I'll be looking at friends, classmates, and saying, "Wow, you always have that classmate good in everything. They're good in academics, they're good in sports, they're good in clubs, everything high scorer." But when now reading about this and having grown up a bit, I realized that these classmates of mine probably have parents that are quite involved or siblings or an environment that enables them to succeed in school, so to speak. And there's the thinking of why didn't I succeed? Because probably lah, my environment, my parents, definitely they are not demanding enough of me in order to excel. So a lot of things that I excel in schools has to be my own standard. I have to set my own standard. I have to say, okay, in science, I got 60 only. Next final exams, I aim to get at least 70 or an 80. Then boom, I got 80. So I set everything myself, which is actually very different from having a parent that say 60. Oh, come on, you can do better. No, you don't have someone looking over your shoulders and supporting you. I think that would make a huge difference. To have that warm support and that communication going on. So, this case, my parents know lah. It's what you want lah. You feel so now.
I don't know. It sounds really weird. Like when I was growing up, it's like my parents didn't really care about what I like, what I didn't like. They just thought that I liked certain things. And I was the kind of kid that grew up trying my best to be what my parents would want me to be. Like
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Same.
Same.
so I don't know. I when he talks about family, then I always get weak. I'm sorry. It's
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 nothing to be sorry about because we all come with our own history and it's something that's quite close to the heart as well. So maybe we can spend a bit more time after the session to
yeah,
unpack all of that.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting if you guys listen to me after the stream or something. Okay, so but the stream has to go on, and I don't know why my line's acting up again. So let's continue, right? One part that I find very interesting about the chapter is Angela Duckworth mentioning imitating versus emulating. I'm sorry, guys. I'll be back.
Hmm. What's the difference here? Emulating?
So when I first saw this imitating emulating thing, right, I was curious what she meant by imitating and emulating. So apparently when the kids are imitating, they're just copying whatever happens, right? But when
Yep.
they emulate something, that means they look at something as good and they try their best to live up to that something. So one example that I mean when I read that part of the chapter, I was thinking like, shit, do I imitate or emulate something in my parents? Like I really don't want to imitate anything about my parents. Like I don't like it. I hated my parents so much growing up that I didn't want to be anywhere like them.
I think we all feel this way, and probably our kids in the future will probably feel the same way as well. It's like, okay, we can teach you everything now, but when you hit a certain age, you're going to hate everything and discard everything and find your own way anyway. So what's the point now?
No, I don't think so because like my friend who runs an international school, his daughter is like doing karate with him, like training karate with him. His daughter is a teenager,
Oh, wow.
and usually this is the phase where they try to be rebellious, they try to break away from the family, but she's not.
Mm.
She's actually like, um, I don't know, maybe a little bit too clingy to the parents, but she's really like close with her parents. She shares everything with the mom, you know, and I think that's fine. I think that looks fine. I don't know, but for me, I think the example of imitating is the way uh, I have standards for myself. Is is it becomes a habit for me because of all the standards that have been placed on me. So I'm just imitating that. So whenever I look at other people, I just place standards on them because that's what I've been growing up with. That's me imitating my parents. But emulating is where I see my mom work very hard to get what she wants, right? And I feel
Mm.
like, oh my god, that's that sense of achievement when she achieves what she wants is like wow, and that feels so good. So I try to emulate that. I try to do that with the intention of uh, getting better than what she did. So I think that's the difference between just imitating and emulating. Right? When you emulate, you try to not just copy but be
Come
as
better.
good as or better, yeah, at it. Imitating is something you do subconsciously anyway. You don't even realize it. What do you guys think?
Even what you're saying is true because that's what I understand. Now I'm trying.
So I guess yeah, yeah,
No,
go on.
I'm just trying to figure out which part of me that I imitate or emulate from my parents. Actually,
Yeah, same. I don't know, maybe the part that I emulate from my dad at least is the love of learning. Yeah. So like I like going for workshops, I like exploring new things. I quite fond of dance and music, things like that. So I wouldn't say it's emulating per se, or whether it's just having grown up with him and observing what he does and what he wants, then I get influenced by it. But whether I'm imitating, maybe to some degree, yes, there is some emulation going on. There's a model there, there's an example there, and I'm actually following that example. But my dad doesn't do dance, but I do. So that's where the emulation comes in. That means I choose my own activities that I enjoy. But at the basis of it, I'm still learning. That's something that he likes to do and he enjoys it. Something like that. And in terms of cooking, I don't directly link it to my mom because my mom is actually a very good cook. She enjoys cooking and has kind of like a reasonable repertoire. But maybe indirectly, I am actually imitating them as well since I tried to experiment with new recipes. I baked a cake last week. It was gluten free and it worked out fine. So maybe there's that part of me that's so trying to emulate her in that sense.
So I think this imitating and emulating thing is something very powerful in terms of children growing up. We all know that children grow up imitating their parents to a certain extent. This one we all know, right? Otherwise, this generation of humans will walk, and then the next generation of humans will just say like, why walk? Crawling is easier, and you fall down less, and then they end up just crawling instead of walking. And then maybe the next generation will be like, crawling is so difficult because our knees are not made for it, and then they'll start rolling, and then sooner or later humans will turn into balls. So I think yeah, to a certain extent, children imitate and emulate their parents, which is which is good because that makes it easier to teach kids how to use a toilet, for example, right? It makes it easier to teach kids how to eat with a fork and spoon, right? Or chopsticks, depending on which part of the world you're from.
Or how to live your, or even how to live your life on a daily basis, like
Right?
waking up early, doing
How to
exercise,
be a
getting
human, you know?
yeah, how to just how to live. I think to show children that there is a structure is important. If not, if there's no structure, then they'll just go wild, I suppose. There needs to be a system or structure that they have to learn from, and that's where they might either emulate your method, growing up observing you, or they might just break away from it and say, I don't want to wake up so early and do meditations. Then only lo. Once they
Right.
hit a certain age, they can just get up and do an exercise. Okay, not meditation because you don't like it. Fine, that's fine. But at least they have that standard operating procedure set for them already. Whether
Yeah.
then it's up to them to deviate and upgrade.
Yep. Yep. I think that's true. I mean, let's use an example, make things clearer, right? Maybe. Can you imagine how life would be, okay, if this group of kids grew up with parents who laughed every time they were sad and cried every time they were happy?
It's kind of messed up, right?
Like, it would be weird. Like, oh, your best friend just died. Ha 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 ha. And be like,
But you will not be accepted in society.
yeah, society would malfunction. It's like so weird. Like we go around telling everybody, oh, you want to have your own individualism, you want to have your own thing running, and then when the kids have their own thing running, this happens. So
Well, it's not surprising though. I mean, the experiment that they did to the kids,
oh
playing the toys,
yeah, like
that might happen.
they beat up the crap out of that toy, man. And equally important is the fact that I think Ray mentioned this throughout the entire session. Parenting is not only from the home, right? It's not just your mom and your dad. It's also the people you're with. It's also the people that
Yeah,
guide you, like the adults around you and stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
That's
it's like
why,
a
yeah.
saying.
yeah.
Pardon?
Go on, go
It's
on.
like a saying. Apa? It takes a village to raise a kid.
Yo, wow.
I kind of agree with that saying, the proverb. It takes a village to raise a kid. Unfortunately, now in this kind of urban setting, it's a little bit more challenging to find that village. Like the village where you have the fishmonger, you have the tire shop, you have the kedai uchi. Then they can send, because it's like, small community. You can just send your kid to go pick up a packet of sugar, and then they will all know your kid, and your kid will know the uncle sell the sugar. So we don't have that anymore.
No, but if we look at Japan, right? Japan is such a big society, right? And their cities are probably
Safe.
even more bustling than Malaysia, right? And they still send their kids out as young as 4 years old to go do like basic chores like pick up the
Hajimete no
groceries.
Otsukai.
Oh, the Netflix show. Is it?
Yeah, all enough. It's so cute.
But they are very young.
They are.
Yeah, and Japan's not famous for their pedophile. I mean a double negative here, so let's try to straighten that out. Japan's kind of famous for people who like they were the ones who came up with the word shotakon and lolicon,
Yeah, there's a convention for the nowadays.
right?
That
And
sort of thing.
yeah, and they still send their kids out at as low as the age of 4 for all these things. So I don't know, man. It sounds so dangerous to me.
I
um,
think it's because the child already recognizes the shopkeeper, or it's something routine that they do. Of course, we don't know in depth on how they actually send their such young toddlers on things. The best is to actually ask the Japanese themselves. My guess is that when they send their child on an errand, they already know that the child is the shop owner. And the shop owner also recognizes the child, so the shop owner will be looking out for the child. Good. So there's already that understanding and system set. That's why they are able to do it safely. In Malaysia, let's say if I just send a kid to buy something from a shopkeeper that doesn't know my kid, then I think the risk is a lot higher. But yeah, so that's just my take on the whole Hajimete no Utsukai phenomenon.
no, but I think the Japanese are at the Japanese have a great idea by doing that. Like, there's so many things that they avoid, so many problems that they avoid with the kid just by doing something so simple. You know, it's like you don't have kids who are like 6 years old and mommy, I don't want to go to school because of I'll be alone. You know, you don't have that problem, and you avoid uh obesity in your community because these kids get a proper workout. They actually walk to the shop. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
they walk.
it's not like they have grab car and take a grab there. No, they literally walk to the shop. So these kids get a proper workout, and then when they grow older, they're like, you know walking is fine. I'm not afraid of walking because I walk all the time. And
Sometimes I wonder if they actually remembered that their parents sent them on an errand when they were 3. And if you ask them as adults, because if you ask me, what did I do when I was 3 or 4 or 2? Say, heck, I know nothing. I have absolutely no recollections of what happened. Like, oh, don't you remember you went on the train with dad to Penang? No. Here's the
No.
photos. No.
Oh.
and the thing is, right? I think, let's come back to this topic, right? Parenting is not just in the home, right? Yeah, we can say that. How to say? We can say that we don't remember these things, right? Because we are kids, right? Uh, but the act of actually doing it expands our comfort zone with people around us, so that when later, as we grow up, right? When we grow up, and we meet these people, like when we meet the auntie from the vegetable shop further down the road, right? Okay, we'll be like, oh auntie, how are you doing? And then auntie says something to us like, oh, when you're older, the minute the sky turns a certain shade of gray, it's going to rain. That will stick with us better because we have the prior relationship with the auntie. And that allows us to build that sort of trust with certain type of adults, that allows the kid to learn more about grittiness, about working hard, about being part of a society because of that. you know i'm I'm not sure, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure a lot of the people uh who are having social problems in Japan didn't really go through this process of getting to know their neighbors, and getting to build a good relationship with their neighbors uh when they were growing up. Like, when they're 3 or 4, yeah, maybe they ran out of the house to go do this, but they didn't continue building that relationship with those people. And I think that's part of the issue. But I'm no psychologist. I'm just looking
Maybe
it
it
from,
helps.
yeah.
Yeah, you're saying, I interrupted. You were
Um,
saying,
I'm
you
just
were just
looking it
looking
from the
at.
perspective of the book, right? That we want to help these kids get more gritty, and We want to make sure that, you know, it's not just the parents that is the factor. We ourselves, as adults now, right? I can't call myself a teenager anymore. We ourselves as adults now, we are also role models for other people's kids. I
That's true.
remember having this conversation with Atika a while back that went a lot like this. Kenji, why are you doing so much for somebody else's son? And I'm like, because that person's son doesn't have a father. And if he grows up without a father image, he's not going to be balanced later in life. He's not going to learn the value of working hard. He's not going to learn the value of being gritty. He's not.
You mean mother not gritty, man?
No, his mom's
Mother's
got money already.
mother not then mother don't work hard. Oh, that's bad.
His mom doesn't show him that she's working hard. Right? And I feel that as an adult in his life, right? It's important for me to show him, you know, that there is more to life than just enjoying yourself. Because who else is going to show him a life of strife and the fulfillment you get from the life of strife? No one. His mom's not going to show him that she's suffering. No. So yeah, that's what I think about parenting being outside of the home. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. You had something to add?
It wasn't what I wanted to say. I think it's about parenting outside. Again, parenting is not just the parents, but also the different individuals that the child interacts with, and that is certainly present in Japan because the neighbors, the people in the shopping arcade, the teachers in the nurseries and schools also play a role in helping to bring the child up, and all of that contributes to the child's well-being and ability to integrate the society, which I think is very important. Because now you see there's a lot of cases where young adults that grow up and they just can't communicate, they can't integrate, they can't get along, and they don't want to get along. And as a result, in the very extreme cases, they become hikikomoris. Yeah, so I think integrating child into society at a young age is important so that they know how to they know where they fit.
Yep.
Even if they don't fit, they still fit somewhere. That's important. Yeah, they still fit somewhere.
True. Okay, we have arrived at the second last slide for the day. The last one is just a statement. The power behind simple gestures. I think this is very, very powerful. It's only a one-line sentence in the book. If you read the book, it's just a one sentence, okay, where these people pasted post-it notes to
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
encourage
Yes.
the kids or just give feedback to the kids. And I wanted to mention this because I think that these simple gestures is very, very important. Like, for example, teaching a kid to actually be polite when asking for stuff is important, right? I mean, if your kid grows up not learning how to say please and thank you, right, the kid's not gonna be able to show gratitude or in fact, some of them may not even be appreciative of things that other people do for them, simply because they were not taught to say please and thank you. They didn't know. If a kid was brought up like without the sense of saying sorry, the kid would never learn how to apologize properly, and I don't know. I have had experiences where people just don't know how to say, oh, I'm sorry, and because of that they piss other people off and get fingers chopped off and stuff. you know. But that's just me. I've seen a lot of life. What do you guys think of simple gestures like that? Simple encouragements, like walking up to somebody, giving them a hug, or saying, "Hey, you got this," you know?
I think it can certainly make a grumpy adult's day a lot better. And for simple gestures, you can certainly practice this as if let's say you're working in retail, which I did before in back in New Zealand. Just a warm smile to your customer, or say, "Is there anything I can help you with?" Or just going the extra mile to serve them can really make a difference in someone else's day. So I guess it works the same as child. Child can definitely remember those moments. Like I can remember one. I think at that point I was like maybe around 5 years old, and my mom sent me on an errand to buy something from the mini market. So she just parked outside. It was late at night already. So get down the car and just pick up the item and off I go. So there's this huge, Malaysia, this huge longkang, very thin bridge. So what I did was I just hopped over the bridge, got stuff. As I was about to hop back, there was actually a man that says, "Be careful when you hop over the bridge." I said, "Be careful there." So, okay. Then I said, "Oh, okay." And crossed the bridge and got into the car. But I remembered that until adult, just for that very simple little reminder from that kind gentleman, that point that watched out for me, so to speak, as I got.
Yeah, oh, those things stay with you for life, man.
It does. It does. I also, okay, this is another example. Now that I can recall a bit better, I joined a essay writing competition,
Oh,
which
wow.
was organized by the Delight magazine, which you may or may not have heard of the Delight magazines back in our school libraries. And the publisher of the magazine is in Singapore, so I have to send my entry in. I was kind of anxious to know what the results were. So I actually picked up the phone, it was 10 at the time, call Singapore.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually called Singapore, find out what's the international code is, and started chatting to the person, asking like, "Oh, when can I know when the results is and all?" And what I didn't know was the person that spoke to me is in fact the editor herself. Probably is a small office, I would say. And she was really very, very nice. She says things like, I see you entered this competition. Yeah, we received some entries. I haven't sorted it out yet, but we will let you know the results soon. Is that okay? No, she's like, you can literally tell that she's smiling
On the phone,
across the
right?
line on the phone. Yeah, because she's very warm, in fact. So I was like, okay. She said, "I promise I'll call you. Just leave your number." Sure enough, about 2 weeks later, she called up and said, "Hey, I have some good news for you. You know what the good news is? You won!"
Wow.
Yeah, I just remembered that phone conversation until today because she was really, really nice and she delivered on her promise. And yeah, so I think it's a simple kind word. It's not a big gesture, but it's something that sticks in your mind.
Yeah, I think the ability for people to, like, I mean, it's a small thing, but living up to your promise is very powerful for kids, I think. Um
It is.
last week, oh my god, that really hurt last week. But yeah, one example happened last week, right? Uh I was coaching the basketball team, right? And what happened was last week, uh the basketball guys, they were losing the game. They were in a losing game. And I promised them that I'll show up. So I drove all the way there. I was late. And halfway through the game, I saw that they were losing. I just shouted at them. I said, "Don't mind. And when they heard that, they all looked at my direction and I was like, oh shit, coach is here. And that one incident led them to not only win that game, okay, but end up scoring third in the entire zone,
Woo.
right? And now they are talking about buying a basketball to commemorate the event and sign off on
Oh
that
wow.
basketball and stuff like that. You know, it's like, it's a big deal for them, and all that it took for that big deal to happen was just those two words: don't mind.
What? Don't mind means what?
Don't mind the mistake that you made. You know, like just don't mind.
Oh,
Continue playing your game. You know,
oh, don't mind.
yeah. So that was the rallying cry for them, and I was so proud of them that they won. You know, it was an amazing feeling. Uh, that win, yeah. So yeah, I think simple gestures are important.
Uh,
Atika,
so so your so your next step, Kanji, is to say, okay, so we're gonna so now you win this round, we're gonna win a bigger one later. Then you put the grid in. Hey, Atika, your turn.
Atika, you're the queen of simple gestures. You don't talk much, so all your gestures are very small, right?
Not really. No, I'm just trying to remember if there's any like those kind of memories, right? But I can't recall anything right now. Um, but I think there is one thing that my parents does for my nephews. One of my cousin's son is very into art, while the rest of them are, boys will be boys likes to play, and then this particular boy will be like sitting on the corner drawing. The other day he just draw three little kittens cuddling together, and he's just like what, 7 years old? Wait, 9 years old. So my mom did, because she said like this kid has talent in art. So what she did was to buy a coloring book for him, and the boy was appreciative of her gift, that he doesn't let the other brothers to color the same book. He's not sharing the book.
It's mine.
Yeah. And he's like, every time he colored, he will be like ask the dad to, um take photograph and then send to my grandma, like my mom. So
So
it looks
sweet.
nice. Yeah, he's like 9 years old, but his coloring is better than me. Like he colored in line and everything. So yeah, I think those kind gesture from my mom really like, you know
Mm.
shows impact into my nephew's life. So yeah, it doesn't have to be like a big grand gesture. You just need to be like buying a simple book, and that's it.
Right. Which brings us to the last slide that I have for today. That you don't need to be a parent to make a big change in somebody's life. So be mindful about what you do out there and what you don't
Yeah,
do out there.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
What you say to others, just just being kind to others out there, and especially to Malaysians, because I think Malaysians, as my dad always said, we Malaysians, we have a huge chip off our shoulders, saying that thing, which means that we have a lot of issues. They're often very repressed. It comes out as a road rage or all the bullying that you see on the road. That's what which is actually quite scary.
Yep.
Cases that we have. So yeah, just being kind. Yeah, you don't need to be a parent. You can just be yourself.
All right, so that ends our chapter for today. Wow, we made it to chapter 10. Anybody want to add any conclusions?
Just be around.
Mm,
It feels like forever since we reached this slide, you know.
yeah. Well, it did take more than 1 hour.
No, I mean like after 10 episodes, we've only reached this slide like maybe 3 times. Okay, so anything else you all want to add? No? Yes?
Mm, what did we all learn from this chapter?
Yeah, like we said earlier, right? It's not the message that was given, it's the message that received that is more important. So what do you all receive?
Maybe a
um,
maybe a better idea of uh, what
Parenting style.
yeah exactly what parenting styles are like. How we were parented, like to chart our own styles, bearing this in mind on what we learned today.
Mm.
Tika?
I I think for me it's like it is up to us, to show grit first, and then and then it will lead to others to either copy us or imitate us.
So lead by example. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. Because if I want to say about parenting, I don't have like a good example of that. I mean, I'm not even a parent right now. I mean, like, yeah, I can be a parent for my nephews, but then again, it is. I mean, it start from us first. It start from me first to be like a better adult
So
for my nephews to follow, something like that.
I think if you are choosing to be a better adult for your nephews to follow, that's a really noble idea. So keep that up, yeah. Okay,
I
I
think
think that's
I
today's
think just to add one last line,
yeah.
I think it also comes down to us to how do we parent ourselves.
True.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. That one's deep.
Are we more permissive to ourselves? Are we not demanding ourselves? It just dawned on me. I'm not very demanding myself lately in my
True,
maybe
true.
I am, maybe I'm not. So where am I on this thing?
Yep, yep. Like where do we stand on the being nice to ourselves thing? Which is
Okay.
really something deep to talk about. Okay, so thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We have reached the end of our chapter 10 in the book Grit. Next week, we will talk about
Halfway
the
there.
playing fields of grit. Oh, this is going to be another interesting chapter. So, thank you all for joining us. We will see you guys next week. What's that? What's that?
Yeah.
That's the book lah.
Ah.
Ah,
Mine has a blue cover.
I'm sorry because my site shows your background.
Something blue like that.
Hey, no fair. You guys all got the physical book in front of you. Where's mine? Oh no, mine's somewhere else. I'm sorry. Okay, I shall use the digital one then. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the live stream now. Thank you guys for joining us. Those of you who are
Thank
joining us on the
you.
stream, who just joined us, don't worry. You can catch the replays on YouTube and on Twitch. All right, we'll see you guys next week.